Greetings YouTube, this is Tom Graz, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to continue our series on how to learn common capture the flag Linux exploits using DVWA. DVWA is Damn Vulnerable Web Application. It's a Docker image that I installed previously. You'll find all links in the description below. You will find the like and subscribe button. Please click both if you think this is of value to you. Yeah, let's get going. Okay, so first things first, let's log into DVWA. So it's the default credentials that we built on from our last video on the installation, which would be password. We log in, take a look at the Brute Force tab. So the object here is fairly straightforward. You need to supply usernames and passwords until you can successfully log in. What's a successful login looking? Let's look like a failed login. A failed login looks like this. And because we're using our users from the DVWA, our default user, which is admin and password, should also work. Yes, look. Okay. What's our security level here? Security level is low. There are a couple of different approaches here. Approach number one is to use Hydra to brute force this. Hydra can brute force this quite successfully, but in this case we're not going to use Hydra because Hydra works for the low security and the medium security, but it does not work for the high security. So we might as well start where we mean to finish, and we'll use a Python script for this. I am not an expert in Python, but I get by, and I'm going to use my wily Python skills to create this. Okay, it's definitely not that screen. This is it. Okay, so I've already written this script. I'm not going to make you guys suffer reading my poor Python typing skills. I'll just go through it quickly. So first of all, we're importing the requests module. Then we're importing Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup is a HTML parser. Security, we have a security variable set to low. We have the file with our passwords in it using fast track. URL of where the vulnerability sits. We also have our cookies. I might go back and give you a bit of a description about the cookies. So in order to get to this page where we're getting our failed logins, we also need to authenticate, because if you remember, when we first opened up this page, we had to log in. So this is no good for Python. Python also needs to log in. So we need an authentication cookie. And in this case, we're using PHP session IDs. And you can find your session ID by going into the inspect or Control-Shift and C and make it bigger. Yeah, Control-Shift and C. And if you go into the storage tab and you look under cookies, you'll find this, the PHP session ID and another cookie called security. So we need both of these cookies in order to have a successful login with Python and requests modules. You can see here that I have the cookie ID and the PHP session ID and the security level. And the security level is coming from this security variable, and the cookie is passed into requests as a parameter, and it needs to be in a dictionary. Okay, the next one is the password file itself. So it's all coming from the fast track file, and we need to open up the file and pretty much dump it into an array. Our next module is our payload. So this is where we're creating our parameters for our requests module and pretty much creating unique logins so we can test if we have the right password or not. So this is made up of username, admin, password. This is gotten from, if you go into brute force, treat. If you look at the URL itself, the URL actually has a bunch of parameters being sent. So this is exactly what we're doing with this payload. We're going to change the password to the passwords, some of the passwords that are in the file. Okay. Then we go down to test passwords module or function, and you can see here that we're just basically iterating through the payloads that are coming out here, which look like this. We're iterating through the payloads and testing each one by creating a session, and we're passing the payload into the session, and we're passing the security level and the URL and the cookies, and then we're creating a session here where we're grabbing the URL, we're using cookies, and we're passing the parameters, which is the payload, which is coming from here. So we'll have a unique payload for each password that's coming from this password file. Yeah, I hope I explained that in a not such a muddled way. Let's give it a go, see what it looks like. Python. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. Just okay, maybe I should make this a little bit easier. So if the word welcome is in success, so if the word welcome is in the text of the file, then we had a successful login. So let's print out what are we print out here? Okay, yeah, or let's print out the URLs that we're trying before we get to the successful one. See what that looks like. Yeah, so you can see here that we're actually printing out. Oh my god, this happens to me every time. So as you can see, the password is different. It's networking, test, SQL, bank, password, 122, password. And once it tries the one password, then we have a success. Spelled wrong. So how does this work? It's actually looking for the welcome, but sometimes we might not know the welcome, so we can do incorrect, which also appears. And you can do not in. Let's give that a blast and success. Yeah. So this is a successful login. Now let's modify our script for the medium one. Okay, so we need to change the security level. MEDIUM, and then we need to, if security equals low, or security equals medium. Let's see what happens if we change nothing and just let it run the same script. Okay, so the same process works fine. The only thing is on the other side, on the DVWA container, there is a slowdown rule. So it prevents you from logging in as many times as you want. If you count, it's probably about 3 seconds between each login, which means if you're using something like RockU, this is going to be a big problem because RockU has millions of passwords in it. And we certainly don't want a situation where once every 3 seconds, like what is 1 million multiplied by 3, so 3 million divided by 60 divided by 60 divided by 24. It would take us 34 days to get through 1 million records, so that's just ridiculous. So you need to have a rough idea what the password is, or some sort of guess at the closeness of it. Okay, so what about high? Let's have a look at high. If we change it to high, so I know high won't work because I have looked at this many times and I know what the problem is, but you mightn't, so let me give you a go. The issue with high, well, let's just do it. Let's just do it. It's the easiest way, isn't it? Let's do it. The issue with high is, okay, we're there. Okay, let's do a failed login. Test login. So username and password is incorrect. Looks the same, but there's a difference. If we go into the inspect for this page, I think we should already have it open here in the inspector, and we go down into the container section, the main body section. Why is this so difficult? It's in the body padded section. This shouldn't be so slow. Vulnerability code area. Huh? Something's not right here. Yeah, security is high. We need to view the source. View page source. Psst, it's easier. We have this section here. It's a hidden section called user token. And every single time that you open the page, you get a unique token. Look, I refresh this page. That was FD8. This is CE8. You get a new token. And in order to submit the page, submit the password, you need to submit the token. And it needs to be the same token as when you logged in with. So we can't do this with Hydra, and we can't do this with our current script. So what can we do? We can quickly modify our script to look for the token as well, because we created a session. And let's take a look. Okay, what would we need to change here? We need to move the session request out of the if statement, and then we do an else if, what the heck? Else if SEC security is equal to high. Well, what do we do? Why is this moving? It doesn't seem to. Okay, I think I know what's wrong. This just doesn't seem to like any of my. Okay, two spaces. If security is equal to high, then we need to get a token. But before we can get a token, we need a session. So we can copy this session, remove the parameters. So somewhere inside this session is our token, and it's in the HTML as well. So we need beautiful soup in order to pull it out. So token equals get token. Okay, so we'll create a new module, a function with the token, and then once we have the token, we will add it as what was it called? What was it called inside the page? It was called user token. So we provide user token data as a parameter. So back to our code, we can take this payload that we're supplying and add our token into the payload. Is a dictionary, so it should be fairly straightforward. So payload user token equals, so I'll fix that in a second, hang on, equals token. Should be that simple. Okay. Oops. Okay, so I think that should be it, and then we return. No, we don't need that, we need this one. And then we can request a page again using our proper payload, which will have the username, the password, the login, and now the user token. Okay, so last thing to do then is to get the actual token. Let's create a new function called get token, and we're taking a requests object, and okay, all right. How do we do this? We gotta create some soup equals bs, because we imported beautiful soup at the beginning, bs and r.content. This is the HTML content of r. And then we need to parser. So html.parser is the common default parser built into Python. And then we need to get the token. So print soup.find all. And then we do attr attributes equal. What were our attributes here? So attributes are a dictionary that we can assign, and so soup can search for it. It was user underscore. No, what was it called? It was called. Sorry, they're here. There's type, name, and value. So we're looking for name. So we're type name equals user token. Okay. Okay, let's change this to name is user token. Okay. Let's see how this works for us. Let's close all this off, and set the security to high. It's already done. Okay, let's give it a go. See what happens. Okay, so it printed the user token. Fine. Okay, so we just need the value from that token. You can see here, there's the token itself. It seems to be embedded inside this array. So we can look just for elements, first element in the array, and then we search for the value attribute and just print out the token. Okay, let's try. So Beautiful Soup is a great at parsing all this information. So it was an array element, so we put in the first element dot get, and we just want value. So the value of the value, and let's give it a go. Excellent. So now we have a token. So let's return the token instead of printing it. TUN, get rid of this bracket, get rid of this bracket. Don't really like the way that these indents are all screwy. Looks a bit better. Okay. Anything I need to do with the session? No, it should just work. Okay, let's go. Give it a go. Okay, sent the token. That's good. You can see here. And so we know what the username and password here is. So we know if it gets to the stage of what it, okay. Yes, excellent. It works. Okay, so thank you very much. My name is Tom Kraz. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys all soon. Bye bye.